Catherine's back in town next week. Thought it'd be nice to have some people over. Well, nothing fancy, just dinner. Who's in? You know, that's a fine idea, Dr. Weber.
Oh, sorry. Yes, thanks. Absolutely.
Okay. Avery's a yes. How about you?
Yeah, I'll be there. I'm not sure about Dr. Warren's schedule, though.
Okay. Warren?
Oh, yeah, I'm in. What can I bring?
I wouldn't say no to that artichoke dip you brought to the resident mixer.
Well, that's Miranda's secret recipe.
Okay. I see.
I'll bring it.
Should be a great party.
How y'all feeling?
I mean, they love you.
It's a good way to enter a room.
Yeah.
You guys just come to my house and do that whenever I get home?
We'll record it and send you the file. So let's talk about the show first, because your characters, we were just saying, has had a rather troubling season. He's broken the rules. He has paid the price.
But it's all trying to save lives, right? He's trying. Sometimes
He wasn't authorized to do the surgery.
Well, occasionally you got to cut a guy with a clipboard. Occasionally you got to operate on a pregnant woman in a hallway. You just got to do what you got to do. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. You know, it's become a joke on set. Like, you know, when you see me coming, you know, run because he'll cut you for like no good reason whatsoever. So Ben's had it rough lately. Ben had to, you know, but the thing about it that's cool is that Ben is dedicated. And if the choice is between obeying the rules and letting somebody die, or breaking the rules and taking a shot at saving their life, you know, he's like, so I'm going to get in trouble. It is what it is. You know, he'll take the shot. And it was a bad outcome, you know. And then there's the whole elevator door thing, but, you know, we won't talk about that. You know, did he see it? Did he not see it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Who's on Ben's side on this one? Anybody? Anybody backing Ben up? Who's on Bailey's side on this one? Down in front. You don't know.
Oh, come on. Even though I do feel for Ben, his wife is, well, he's starting his career over, essentially, because he was an anesthesiologist, and now he's in surgical training, so he's entry level.
Yeah, he's living the 21st century male nightmare, because he loves his wife, supports his wife, pushed his wife, even when she didn't believe in herself, to become the chief, and she became the chief. She's got this huge pay raise, and then he was inspired by her to become a surgeon, so he took a pay cut to go become a student again, to become a resident, so he could become a surgeon. And his wife is also now his boss's boss. And the result is that he's just getting handled at home. It's not good. So he's sleeping on the couch. It's, people are talking about the pay discrepancy between them, you know, and he's fine with it. It's just you don't want all that advertised, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, he loves the fact that his wife is successful. He just doesn't want everybody to know, like, you know, you don't have to talk about it like she makes multiple times what I make. You don't got to say that, you know? And then it's not so much fun when she benches him for 6 months, you know, potentially ending his career. That's not so much fun.
I mean, she had no choice.
She had a choice.
She couldn't look as though she's soft on her own husband.
Let's run back the tape. Everybody else, she's the one who wanted to fire Ben. Everybody else was actually understood the situation and said, at the end of the day, I would have done the same thing that he did. But, you know, she's the one who, at the end of the day, part of it's because he's married to her, that she has to make a statement. But that's not only is it, you know, it's like no special treatment, but it's worse treatment. You know, I had the same sort of thing. My mom was a teacher where I grew up.
So you know what it's like.
She taught in the next city. So every time I screwed up, and not that I ever screwed up, I was never in trouble in school, let's be clear. But every time I did anything, the teachers would grab me, and next thing you know, the kid that did it with me, he gets a 5-minute talk, I get the 15-minute lecture, and then when I get home, I get another 40 minutes from my mom. You know, so it gets a little unfair that way.
What about their marriage?
Yeah, I mean, that's the hard part, is that right now, you know, Bailey doesn't trust Ben as a surgeon. She's lost faith in him as a surgeon, and he's struggling. He's lost a little bit of faith in her as his wife because she didn't have his back when he thought she needed it. She was going to be worse on him, and knew that what, missing 6 months of a residency is basically like missing 2 years of college. Like, it's a wrap. You know what I mean? Like, you may as well quit, which is why he decided to, go back and be an anesthesiologist and fight to get in no matter what. So it's he's doing everything he can to make sure he gets his education and finishes, but she's not making it easy. So their marriage is definitely in the hurt box. He's sleeping on the couch, and he is fine with that. Nobody's fine with the situation, but he is determined to, he's going to wait it out longer than she can.
I just love your character's arc this season, though, because it deals with so many current issues: pay discrepancy in the workplace, being mistreated or treated unequally in the workplace.
Yeah.
Except he's the victim as opposed to the woman, which is usually the case.
Yeah, but that's one of my favorite things about our show. I mean, we were talking, and I was a fan of the show before I was ever on it. My wife got me watching the show a couple years before I was on it, and I've always loved that they'll take the latest topical issues and throw them in the mix and throw in all the different sides of the issues. So it does not surprise me in the least that Grace is the show that says, let's talk about the income gap, but let's flip it. Where the husband's making less, and the husband's, and the man's the one possibly, getting dealt with harshly at work over, more than he should be. So that I love, and and it's fun to bring that to life. And I think that only happens because we have a writer's room and a cast that is really diverse, and we have a lot of people bringing a lot of new perspectives that haven't necessarily been on, weren't on television when I was a kid anyway. You know what I mean?
No, that's for sure. And I mean, you guys are on season 12. The finale's next week, and then it's on to season 13.
Yeah.
So obviously, I think Shonda Rhimes has it well in hand. But if you could kind of do a little outline for Ben for season 13, what would you have him do?
Wow. If I could write for Ben for season 13.
Well, not even write, just a little like a one-pager.
Where would he go? You know what? I think Ben finishes his residency and becomes a phenomenal surgeon. And maybe he takes one of those maybe he takes a fellowship that takes him away for 6 months. That'll teach Miranda.
And he triples his money.
Drop Mike.
And he dates a supermodel.
Keep going. I'm liking where you're going. You outline much better than I do. I don't need him to date a supermodel. I actually love that. I love Ben and Bailey together. I love that.
I love that he came back for her and her son.
I love that Ben, for a while, put things on hold. The things that he wanted to do on hold for his family. I'm a huge believer in that. I've done that for my family. I've not taken jobs because I didn't want to leave my family and be apart from my family. I love that he does all that. I love that he's in love with this powerful woman who looks like a real woman, and all those things. I love this really powerful married black couple on television. All those things that you typically hadn't seen, like I said, back in the day. But now they're becoming common, and that's pretty fantastic, and I love being a part of that.
I mean,
you can woo that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you for giving him permission. But I read an interview with you where you said you were a feminist, and I love that. I love hearing you say that because for so many people, it's like the forbidden word. You don't touch it.
Yeah, people get real antsy. Look, for me, when you say feminist, it's like saying you're a civil rights activist. I mean, it's like saying you believe in equality. It's really no different. I mean, yes, once upon a time, there may have been people who, it may have gotten a perception, and there may have been individuals in, trying to bring about feminism that went overboard. But that's true of every movement that's happened in this country. There are activists that went too far in every movement. That said, if you believe in equality, you believe in equality. You can't believe in equality only for people that look like me. I believe in equality when it comes to black people, but I'm not going to fight for the equality for Asians or Latinos.
Or for women,
or for women, or for LGBTQ. You know what I mean? It's like, no, if I believe in equality, I'm fighting for women. Because not for nothing, I have a daughter. But that's not why I do it. I just realized this is a thing that I believe in. Oh, and my daughter will benefit from it if we get pay equality. She has a twin brother. He should not be making more money than her. If you knew them, you'd know he does not need to be making more money than her. but
And yet, sadly, he probably will.
yeah, and sadly that will, I don't know, because they're only 8 years old. I believe that by the time they're actually out in the world making money, that we will have gone a long way to fixing that issue. Because, well, not for nothing, I think that we will likely have a female president in about, about a year. Yeah. That to me is exciting, and I want her to see that. I want her to have, at the age of 8, what I had at the age of when,
18.
18, exactly. Let's go with 21. I want to be able to drink because I was drinking when Barack Obama got his inauguration. There was a beer or two in celebration, but there was a huge feeling of like, it's there.
We've broken the barrier.
We've broken the barrier. This world has changed. This world has seen something that most people my age didn't think they would ever see. It was written into rap songs. I remember Tupac saying, we'll never live to see a black president. And then it was like, no, actually, you won't live to see black because. But thank God I saw it. Thank God I was able to check that out. And I want my daughter to not have to wait till she's 21 to be able to say, literally to know in her heart that she can do anything. So that's important to me. But that's also not the reason why it's not. Obama being black wasn't the reason I supported him, and Hillary's being a woman isn't the reason why I support her. It's just an added perk.
Amen. And I also read that your wife taught you about the Bechdel Test, which is brilliant.
Yes.
You guys know what that is, right?
You guys know what the Bechdel Test is? Alison Bechdel. You've heard of the show Fun Home? She wrote the original graphic novel that was based on. She's a phenomenal writer, and the Bechdel test is so simple it hurts. It's basically, when was the last time your show, movie, book, whatever piece of media you have going on, had two women in a scene together and they weren't talking about men? And you suddenly realize how many shows fail this test because when in most TV shows, most movies, women are a function of men. They're just the love interest. They're just the eye candy or what have you. And fortunately, our show passes phenomenally. And it's not that it's not like women don't ever talk about men, but women talk about politics. Women talk about their work. They talk about all these things, art, whatever. And as do men, And so I have taken that same concept of the Bechdel test, and I kind of apply it to, other areas of diversity. Like, for a long time in television, any black character that showed up in a show was ultimately a function of their race or their ethnicity.
It was the best friend. Always the best friend or the crazy neighbor.
The BBF is a very real thing in Hollywood. The black best friend, the BBF. It's like like literally I'll talk to other actors and I'll be like, oh, did you go in for that thing? What? Oh, the BBF? Nah, man, I was trying. I was not trying to do that again. And then you start to see things where, literally, when they would say open to all ethnicities, I'd walk into the room and I would actually see all ethnicities. That still doesn't happen nearly as much as it should, but it's happening a lot more. And I know that I did a show called Mistresses for ABC. It's still going on. And actually, I think I'm going to sneak back in, and you might pop up over there for a little bit. But when we were in the conversation, Rena Mamoon and KJ Steinberg, when they were creating that show, they didn't know if they wanted me for the husband or the lover. Like it was just like literally my ethnicity didn't matter, and I love that. The point is that it shouldn't be the point. And so I'm a big fan of when you can tell characters when on the page they don't necessarily put an ethnicity, and nobody assumes that character is white.
And so when you read for your Grey's Anatomy character, it could have been played by any race,
by anybody.
Right? Yeah.
I'll put it this way. I found out a long time ago that going back to the very beginning of Grey's, that Isaiah Washington went in for the McDreamy role at one point in time. In Chinaland, it's all good. And it shows the world that things don't fall apart. It's I'm a big, I don't know, I'm getting on a soapbox. Forgive me, but it's on my mind.
I think it's great. I think the points you're bringing up are valid and topical and intelligent.
Well, it is. I mean, we're in an election year right now where we've got a lot of people talking about a lot of issues of race. A lot of issues of race, religion, and what country you come from are coming up and getting thrown around. From Black Lives Matter to building a wall to,
banning Muslims from coming
to
into
banning
the country.
Muslims or registering Muslims to, and there are Christians that feel like they're being attacked, for their faith, so those issues are huge, and that's one of the reasons why, I've started working with this organization called MASK, Multiracial Americans of Southern California, and their whole thing is helping people articulate their cultural identity, and they help they help facilitate communication between cultures. It's all about reconciling cultural differences within yourself and within people, and how to better communicate. Because we've been doing a really pretty shitty job of communicating for like the last, I don't know how many decades, but especially this year has been a time where we've not been communicating across cultural lines at all. And so to help support MASK, and they're actually fiscally sponsoring a documentary that I'm working with them on called The Melting Pot Project. And this documentary is going to take a look at multicultural marriages and the families, the extended families and such, and it's going to take a look at how society views them. Because the idea being that all this controversy surrounding race, religion, and your country that you come from. And this is supposed to be America, where, the great American melting pot, where people can come from all around the world, from different races, religions, and countries, and create something greater than the sum of its parts, create a more perfect union. And so this documentary is going to take a look at that other union that's supposed to be greater than the sum of its parts, marriage, and see but look at these marriages between people from different race, religion, and country, and see if we can learn something about America, which is made up of people from different races, religions, and countries. Can we learn to talk from the way they learn to bridge the gaps there? Their families learn to bridge the gaps. I think there's something to be learned there. I don't advocate for having a multicultural marriage just because I think advocating means you think everybody should be doing it. I advocate for equality, and I think that if you're in a multicultural marriage, you should be treated equally. And I think that that's where people get real. I know I have a good friend who his mom welcomed me into the house all growing up. She was literally like a second mom to me, and he's a Jewish kid. And she would make me eat even though I was in training for sports or whatever. And then he married a woman who wasn't Jewish. And mom wouldn't go to the wedding. Shut it down, has seen the grandkids like that many times. And to me, that just blew my mind because that wasn't how, she's completely open and all about civil rights in the world, but when it comes to her family, suddenly it gets really harsh. People get real when it's marrying their family. So we want to take a look at the whole issue of race, religion, and immigration, country of origin, citizenship through the lens of these marriages, because I think we can learn a lot.
I think it's so interesting. I mean, look around New York City; it's like nothing but.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Yeah. So so you can go to meltingpotproject.org. meltingpotproject.org, and we want everybody who's ever been, if you've ever even dated anybody from a different race, religion, or country, we want you to go there and tell us your story. And then the second part, to raise money for MASK, would any of y'all like to come out to would you like to win a free trip to Los Angeles to come hang out? Would you like to come out and, how about having a private party in your honor to live tweet the premiere of Grey's Anatomy or something like that? Would that be fun? So if you go to prizeo.com/Jason, that's PRIZEO.com/Jason.
JASON.
JASON. You can enter, you donate a little bit of money and you can, get opportunities to win a free trip to LA to come hang out with me and my castmates, and we'll have a party in your honor, and we'll hang out for the day. Maybe you'll have to come to work with me. I don't know. It depends.
Man,
we'll see what happens that day. Wouldn't it suck? Oh, you're going to work and I got to come with you, drag you along, that sort of thing. But so go to those two websites, and and hopefully we'll be hanging out together sometime soon. What camera am I on? Hopefully we'll be hanging out together.
I love it, and I also love, I have to say, one of my other favorite storylines this season has been the custody trial.
Oh,
because I think that really brings up what you're talking about.
That's like one of three scripts this season.
That's like the biological child versus the adopted child. Who does the kid belong with? And
exactly.
Who has more rights to be the parent?
Exactly.
And I think in anyone else's hands, it would have been,
in America today, blended families are a real issue. We have these knee-jerk responses that are only based on what we're used to. And the reality is what you're used to is not what I'm used to. So people immediately say, well, the biological mother. And it's like, there are two moms. One's biological, but the other one's been there since birth. Like, literally, like, who's the mother here? And so it's a real fight, and so it challenges your assumptions because they're just assumptions, And so, that script was another one where we did the table read and we all walked around for the day going, I don't know. This is hard.
When I saw that ending, I was like, what?
Yeah, well, we were trying to figure, literally there was a split amongst the cast trying to figure out how people felt about it, like whose side are you on? And somebody hit me on Twitter. They were like, are you Team Cali, you Team Arizona? And I was like, I'm Team Sophia.
Kid, exactly.
Because I'm a child of divorce, and you just try and kids just got to make it through.
And before we turn it over to our audience, Jason, give me the top 5 things that happened in the finale next week.
Top 5 things that happened in the finale. Ellen shows up. I show up. Let's see. J-Pro shows up.
Chandra shows up.
Chandra shows up. And then, did I say J-Pro shows up? J-Pro shows up. The Jackson-April pairing. I'm just going to say that, at the table read, there was, like I said, laughter, tears, and a lot of jaws on the ground. So the top 5 things would be when the very last moment, if I'm remembering exactly correctly, when we read it and we all said, "Oh shit." That was a cool moment in the room where we all stopped and we all looked at the writers like, "Are you serious?" So that's
not enough reason to watch. I don't know what is. So, oh shit. So let's ask.
Is there ever a better reason than oh shit?
No, there actually never is.
Right?
And our audience, please.
Hi, Jason. So I'm definitely going to be entering that contest, and if I win, I'm going to take my mom because every Thursday we watch Grey's Anatomy together. Oh my God.
Mom-daughter love, I love that.
I love it too, so thank you for that. My question is, when you were saying that your wife actually got you into the show, before you were on the show, was there a oh my God moment?
An oh my God moment that got me into it. You got me going back like 10 seasons or something like that, so I'm trying to think what I saw before I got into it. I don't remember a specific oh my God moment that made me start watching the show, but I will tell you, and I actually came across it earlier today. It's so hilarious that you asked that, because and it wasn't the one that got me watching the show, but I was actually working on the show, but I wasn't in that episode, and there's a little part of me that's so mad that I wasn't there for the shooting. Do y'all remember the shooter that comes to the hospital? When he has the gun on Sandra Oh, and Kevin McKidd comes in, and Jesse's across, trying to operate, and I just thought, that's an actor's dream. People think that it's so, they're like, I don't know how you do it, the crying, the tension, the anger, this and the other thing. And the truth is, it can wear on you. It can in the moment, but the reality is, it's like, thoroughbred horses want to run. So when you got actors like the cast of this show, they serve up stuff, and we all get excited to, send me to the zoo. I want to be bawling my eyes out. I want to be screaming and ripping down walls. I want to turn into the Hulk. So that was an episode that that one I remembered instantly as soon as I saw the episode, and I remember I knew the actor that played the shooter from outside of work, and I told him, I said, the fact that you weren't nominated for an Emmy for Outstanding Guest Actor is a crime, is an absolute crime against humanity.
Hi, Jason. So Shonda Rhimes has quite the resume of shows that are currently on the air. So I was just wondering, if you could trade roles with any actor on any of the other Shonda shows, who would you want to trade with?
Here's the thing. Any Scandal fans in here? Any How to Get Away with Murder fans? Okay. I love them both, but I have to say, on Scandal, Joe Morton as Command is a terror. He's the boogeyman. He actually wakes people up in their sleep. It's amazing. And so they write him speeches on that show. Shonda's known for writing these phenomenal speeches that you got to put on your big boy actor pants to go and try and tackle, right? And there's a skill to being able to do them and to break them down and that sort of thing. Everybody in Shondaland does a really good job at it. Joe Morton and Jeff Perry on that show are amazing. They write them extra hard speeches. It'd be like, everybody else is running a marathon, but you're gonna run a double marathon, And so I would love to have an opportunity to try to tackle one of those like 3-page speeches that Joe Morton gets on that show, because I just want to see if I can live up to a little bit of what Joe Morton gets done.
And last question, please.
Yes. Welcome to AOL. So glad to have you here. I'm definitely going to sign up on meltingpot.org because I know about that swirl game.
Oh, she knows about the swirl game.
I know about the swirl game.
I see. It's meltingpotproject.com.
Oh, project. Oh, .com.
Yeah.
Very good. I will
.org.
sign
I'm sorry.
up.
Meltingpotproject.org.
Very good. Well, I've been a fan of yours from Eve. Actually, I started
thank you.
watching Eve in reruns because of you, because I thought you were so enchanting. Very nice role that you played there. Played it very well. So I know you said that you feel that your character is supportive of Miranda.
Right.
But the behavior is
why do I
not...
feel like I'm about to get told off?
Wait, no.
Come on. I'll fight this fight.
Okay, because you know, me as a black woman,
right?
you know.
Come on, black woman. What you got? Talk to me, black woman.
Well, I'm wondering about the backstory.
Right.
Like, I'm wondering if, in all actuality, he's really trying to sabotage her under the guise of not being aware of what he's doing, or if he's really just rogue, like the chief said, and accused him of just being a rogue. And do you think that the backstory that justifies your behavior, your character's behavior, will ever be revealed? And if it's not in the plan,
Good God, Jason.
And if it's not in the plan, would you ask Shonda Land to make it happen?
Okay. That was 8 questions.
That was 8 questions. So basically, I think
that was
it comes
8
down
questions.
to, is he a double agent looking to
Right.
sabotage his wife?
It was 8 questions, and you answered half of them yourself, for yourself. But I'm going to push back, and I'm going to say no, because let me ask you this. Here's the thing. And actually, what was beautiful was, and Shonda Land answered a little bit of this. They had the episode, was it last week's episode, where we're battling, and at the end of the episode, she writes my name on the board as an anesthesiologist. Maggie schools me and says, none of this, you don't get away with anything if she doesn't want you to. The only reason you're getting away with it is because she's a chief, and I got to think about that. I got to eat that. And then Nathan talks to Miranda and says, we were residents. We crawled over broken glass to get more knowledge, to get more information. Do you want the resident who will accept the no? Nobody gets anywhere in this world. Anybody who gets really anywhere, has any real true success in this world, is somebody who doesn't take the first no. You got to tell me no like a dozen times before I stop coming at you. You got to show me proof that no is going to work in order to be successful. So I don't think in any way Ben is trying to sabotage. He loves her to the core of his being. I do believe that. I do not believe there's any kind of double agent thing. But I believe, and this is, again, this is where Ben and I get similar. I love you with all my heart, but if I disagree with you, I'm gonna come at you. If I disagree with you, I'm gonna come at you. He wants his career. He wants to save lives. So Ben is going. I can get in the OR a different way. I will not break your rule. I will not come into the room as a surgical resident. So I'm the gas man. I'll be the gas man again.
Thank you so much, Jason. Wait. Grey's, as we all know, airs Thursdays, ABC.
Thursdays, ABC, 8 o'clock.
And the finale is next Thursday.
Yes, the finale is on the 19th. Make sure you check out the finale. If you don't see the finale live, I would suggest you don't go anywhere near social media for a solid day.
3 days.
Until you check it out, because it will be talked about.
Thank you so much for being here. You're amazing.
Thank you guys for having me.